everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in the Four Keeps, Dissolution Part 2. Today is October 18th, 2021, and you are loved. That is a very important thing that we like to remind each and every single one of our viewers and listeners at the beginning of each and every single one of these games. If this is your first time joining us, you can go to youtube.com/indooradventures to check up on all of the VODs of each of the games that we have played up until this point, or you can go towards where anywhere audiocasts are made available for free. You can find us there under the same moniker. And speaking of things that are being made available for free, if you go to patreon.com/indooradventures, you can check up on our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from each other, but also from the community. So if you have any questions for myself or any of these other fine folk, feel free to join us on that Discord. You can find the link in the Twitch chat or Twitch chat to the side, or in the description of this video or audiocast down below if you are, again, watching one of those VODs or audiocasts. But let's say that you already support us on Patreon. You already support us on YouTube and Twitch and all of those other spaces, and you're trying to think to yourself, where can I go to help support this fantastic show even more? Guess what, buddy? I got your back. Quite literally, in fact, because if you go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, we got t-shirts, we got posters, we got mugs, we got crop tops, throw pillows, shower curtains, aprons, clocks, and guess what? We also have face masks. That's right, we got our Tia masks designed by our very own Cyberwolf 1201, where all of the proceeds end up going to help support Doctors Without Borders. So if you would like to help support a good show, or support a great cause, you can again go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. That is indooradventure, no S at the end, .redbubble.com. But that is it for my opening spiel. So hey RJ, who you playing today?
Hey everybody, I'm RJ, and today I'm playing Caelum, the Shatterkai Wizard. We both go by he, him.
Hello everybody, I'm LBHackEmUp, and I'm playing Gwen, the Halfling Barbarian Fighter. We both go by she, her.
Hoi, I'm Cyber. I use he or any pronouns, and I play Arjhan. Arjhan is a Draconian Ranger Cleric who uses he, him pronouns.
Hey everybody, I'm Wings, also known as Danae Keener. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing as Cori, the Eldrin Paladin, who uses she, they, or he.
And I am the Indoor Adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, last we left off, I just gotta say, guys, remember the baby? It was a great baby! You went to Hadorai's temple, there was a tree there, Cori spent some time growing the tree.
You got a pot for my baby?
A little bundle of joy came down.
You got a pot for that baby?
We could get a pot for the baby. Just plant them real nice. Make sure they're all cozy and snug in their like bean casing that they were in. It was a great time. You sent a message to Cori's dad. Wowee, what a fantastic start of the story arc. And that's when we went to the Goliath camp in the north, and things got a little wonky, to say the least. You ended up witnessing a Goliath burial in the city of Fildas at the Rookery of Bones, where you watched an old wizened Goliath jump into a fissure and just get swallowed by darkness. Upon meeting with Gwen's Goliath father, and letting him know that he had a granddaughter, you all decided that now was the time that you were going to enter the Shadowfell. And as luck would have it, that entry into the Plane of Shadows lay in said fissure. It was at that point, upon finding out, that Caelum very quickly just decided gung-ho, he was going to jump in, no questions asked, much to the party's surprise and chagrin. And following after Caelum was Gwen and Arjhan, who Gwen was pushed, Arjhan tried to save, but it would appear that Arjhan's fear of the growing darkness caused him to kind of hold too tightly to Gwen, thus causing him to let her go. And at that point, Cori just decided, well, if all of my friends jumped off a cliff, I suppose I should as well. And she went backwards in a very nice pose, going about her day. As we transitioned into the Shadowfell, each of you experienced a moment of horror where Caelum and Cori seemed to come out unscathed, but Arjhan, you and Gwen took on new flaws, as well as gained some mechanical deficits as a result of this. Upon entering into the Shadowfell, it was also rather alarming in that you were all separated. You were in different areas, different spots. And so we are going to start off with, I believe the best point would be to go in the same order that we entered into the Shadowfell with. So, Caelum, when you had arrived into the Shadowfell, thankfully you were able to swayed off this encroaching darkness, this feeling of insecurity that had been growing within you, but luckily you managed to push that aside. And arriving in this place, this strange, dark, moonless night above you, you heard a rustling in some bushes, and you were met by what you at first had feared possibly was going to be a Shadarkai, but then were met with some a base level of surprise as you saw a dark-skinned Eladrin woman actually emerge from these bushes, and upon seeing you, asked if you had your ticket. So she has asked you this of so do you have your ticket ready?
Sorry, Shadowfell?
And she steadily comes up to you and sort of tilts her head. And she says, yes, this is the Shadowfell. You are correct in making that assumption, but how? We don't get many owls here of your variety, anyways. Ravens, yes, but owls not as frequent.
Oh, I'm just visiting. Where? Starts looking around for his friends. I am new. I didn't know I needed a ticket to be here in the Shadowfell.
No. Not the Shadowfell. The carnival.
I'm sorry, what?
Have you not heard of the Big Top Carnival? Travels around. There's a whole trade with some other... Look. You look like you're in a rather dangerous spot. And as she says that, she sets her hand on the hilt of what looks like a very long blade that she keeps at her hip that's glowing with a dull reddish color and looks like it is of a make that you are not familiar with, like you have never seen a blade manufactured in such a way. But it looks magic as fuck, to put it lightly. And it is in the style of an executioner's blade. Just this large, flat, almost like greatsword style sword that she just keeps almost lightly at her hip. And as she says, folks like you often encounter danger here whenever you are first dropped off, as it were. I can provide you solace as long as you, well, have your ticket for the carnival. There are certain places where the queen, and she motions in a far-off direction, bylaws are not allowed to, well, function regularly. We have rules set in place at the carnival. So if you're looking for safety, I would, well, recommend that you buy a ticket. And after she says this, the blade begins to grow, or begins to glow with this faint pulsing red. And from her mouth comes a much deeper voice as her eyes flash for a glimpse of red that says, "Your safety is optional." And she sort of shakes her head a little bit and sorry about that.
Right. Well, given there are no ticket booths here, could you please direct me to one? I would also like to know where my friends are.
Well, how about this? We get you safe and then you can find your friends. My name is Isolde. It's a pleasure to meet you. And she gives a very large bow. says, I am the ringmaster of the circus, and if you're looking to purchase a ticket, you have found no better such person than to purchase your ticket from. However, I must ask, given the circumstance, and again, your presence here being an owl amongst ravens, what do you value your ticket at? Your safety. The blade flashes red again. Or your life. And she shakes her head. Sorry.
Well, considering I don't die, that's a pretty low margin. Do you have anything that I could ballpark? Like, say, how much is a normal person's life worth?
A normal person's life? Well, you look anything but normal. However, if we're truly going to be getting into semantics, perhaps you should follow me and we can discuss payment along the way.
Caelum will nod his head.
And she says, a normal person, your standard Bob the farmer, does nothing other than till the soil, makes their crops. All things considered, you could probably put a price of, at most, 500 gold on them. Truly, they are not worth much in the grand scheme. If we're speaking potentially, perhaps their offspring will do something grander than theirs. But we're not talking about Bob the farmer. We are not talking about Bob the farmer's offspring. We are talking about you. Sentient, undead owl in a place such as this.
Well, he'll fish around in his bag. I just recently created this. Maybe, and he'll hold up the brooch of shielding.
And she extends her hand outward, looks at it, and takes a moment to close her eyes, hand still on the hilt of her blade. Takes a deep breath in. The sword glows that same now familiar red color. And she opens her eyes and with a very kind smile says, I think that this will suffice, but I do need just one last piece of information from you. Nothing dastardly, I have you know. However, these tickets are for individual usage. So what is your name?
Are we talking about true name territory?
If that's what you would like to offer.
Now, you see, I have a friend who's taught me all about the power of true names and how it holds sway over the person.
Your friend is very smart.
And right now, my plate is kind of full with people going after me, so Caelum would be preferred.
All right, then. Caelum the owl. And she takes the brooch of shielding, kind of twists it in her hand, and as she does with this flourish, you watch as this brooch just becomes a ticket. It looks almost like a raffle ticket, although it has sort of this same reddish quality that the blade itself has. And she offers it to you.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, again, thank you for your patronage, and as long as you need shelter, you are more than welcome. And as she says this, you breach past a set of brush, and before you, you see that there is indeed a large, like, center big top. There is a set of tents that are placed around. You see that there is a building named the Hall of Horrors. There are several other places as well. And most oddly to you, there are some people here. And the people that you see are not strictly Shadarkai. You see that there are humans. There are a few halflings, an odd gnome or two, and a couple other more monstrous-looking individuals as well that seem to be being led around by a rather brusque-seeming individual who is giving them a tour of the carnival as well. And as you enter into this place, and Isolde says that you are more than welcome to stay here in this place so long as you keep your ticket upon you, that is when we are going to move to our next member of the separated groups. Gwen, you seemed to have fallen from the sky and landed in a almost damp field. There is a sort of give to the ground that is typically associated with a place that has had steady rainfall, but looking up, you do not see that the rain is plentiful. As you stand up and look at your palms, you see that they have a little bit of a reddish color to them. And it is at that moment that you realize that the ground that you were standing upon is so soaked with old blood that it still has a bit of give to it. You can hear the sloughing sound of a shovel being used off in the distance. And when you look towards where the sound comes from, you see a tall individual, bald of head, with a long pole extending from their back with a large backpack that has a lantern hanging above it. And they seem to be filling in a grave. And you know it to be a grave because as you look around, you see that in this field, you are surrounded by what look like unmarked, unnamed graves that are all made in a traditional Goliath style, but without any of the honorifics, without any of the titles that usually go along with these kinds of things.
Hey! She'll kind of like jog over to them.
And the shoveling stops. And this figure stands and looks over to you, Gwen. And Gwen, you are used to seeing Goliaths that have a, we would say a tasteful amount of tattoos upon them. Or like very like large, deep battle scars, that sort of thing. The individual that you see before you has more tattoo upon them than they do bare skin. If you've ever seen, like in real life, the Leopard Man, the guy whose like entire body, like 95% was covered by like tattoo, that is this Goliath that is standing. But all of these tattoos, for the most part, in some form or fashion, have been marred by scarring. And you can see that there are actually still like fresh wounds that are upon this individual's shoulders that look like they are, like it's like a singular cut. It's not, and it doesn't look shallow enough to have been done by any surrounding brush, but it doesn't look like it's properly healed. It almost looks like it is slightly festering. And looking at the scar tissue that is on this incredibly tattooed Goliath, you can see that most of these scars have that same kind of quality. They seem too straight. They seem like they were almost done possibly by a bladed weapon of sorts, but then just sort of left to remain marred. And this individual looks at you and you can see that they are middle of age, possibly. Like they do not look young by any means, but they do not look incredibly old. And as they look at you, there is a vacancy in their stare. And they say, "Are you yet another ghost for me to bury?"
Not yet. I feel like I'm still alive. Grayskull, am I still alive?
Oh, fuck, I hope so. This is
Yes.
scary as shit. Fuck this place.
Yeah. No, I'm alive, sir.
And they just have this like blank expression, this long stare, and says, "For now. Where are you from? You fell in the Goliath graves."
Yeah.
Not
I'm
many fell here.
no, I'm from the Tread Thunder clan. I went to the Rookery of Bones with my friends who are not Goliaths. And we were going to the Shadowfell. Is that where I am?
Either that or this is hell.
No, I've been to hell. It's not like this. Very warm.
Is there sun in hell?
Was there sun in hell?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
Like there was like a large burning orb, but you would not call it a sun.
No, sir. There was definitely not what I would consider a sun.
And he looks at you and says, and he sort of nods, says, "If you have come from far away, you say Tread Thunder.
Yeah.
I remember them. Only just. Are you hungry, small ghost?"
I'm more nervous than hungry at this point. Have you seen any other beings that aren't Goliaths here?
They're not Goliath.
Yeah.
He nods.
Oh, okay. Did they go somewhere?
He nods again.
Could you
Says-
tell me where?
They went to the Queen's domain, as they always do. They circle around and fly and fly and spy, making sure that we are doing what we are supposed to do.
Which is burying souls.
No. I do that
No.
out of remembrance. What we are supposed to do is become forgotten.
Oh. What's your name?
And he has a long look, and there is a pause, and he says, "I have forgotten. The longer that you stay in this place, the more complacent that you feel. The more complacent that you feel, the easier it is to forget. I came here when I was but a boy.
Oh.
I fell into the chasm.
Mm.
Saw things I was not supposed to. As a result, I have been here. When I found this place, there were only bodies. So I did what I should have done. Gave them burial." And he puts his shovel down blade into the dirt and sort of leans onto it. "Some of those bodies decided that rest was not for them. So I ran, I hid, survived, came back. Now, I dig graves."
One second. She puts her hand to her ear. Hey, does anyone up there recognize this person at all?
Are you speaking to your Goliath spirits?
Yes.
No. Like,
No.
there is like a general, like, who the fuck is this guy? And Grayskull just like outright like, I don't know this guy. Salamarn also does not seem to know particularly about this individual. Hakan is like looking so intently, and then says he reeks.
He reeks. I mean, it kind of smells really bad here already. Like, what do you mean?
Something not right about him.
Oh, so I shouldn't
He's
ask
like
him to come with us?
But different. Something weird about him.
Okay. Can you direct me to the place that I can find my friends who aren't Goliaths?
And when you turn around, you see that he was like, he had a piece of like a piece of thread around both of his thumbs that he had like extended up to like measure you. And then he brings it back down. And says, "What were your friends here for?"
We were going to see the Raven Queen.
And he slowly blinks at you. And then he just turns, picks up his shovel, and then begins walking off in a direction.
Not wanting to be alone, Gwen continues after him. Just like a quick look to the side, like, what the... Oh, shit.
And
Starts
Gwen,
running.
when you pass by this grave that he was in the middle of digging, looking in, you can see that it is standard form, like down, like however wide it needs to be, however deep it needs to be for proper Goliath burial. But there is no casket.
Yeah.
And there is no body that is here. It is just an empty grave that seems to have been getting refilled.
Oh, boy.
And he begins walking off in a direction. You follow him, and you follow him for some time. And as he continues to walk, he says that as the land takes things from you, all that is left is a standing grave. So that is what I have called myself these years.
The
Grave.
standing grave. Grave. Okay. I don't mean to be morbid here, but can you tell when people are gonna die in here, or do they always just come dead?
And he looks at you with a much more intense stare and says, I do not know when they will die, but if you are here, death is a mercy.
All right, cool. Can you give me a hint as to the things that I might face?
Pray your friends are still alive, or if they are dead, they are not buried.
What happens when they're buried?
And he just remains silent. And upon, as the conversation draws, as you exit out of some of these trees that you have found yourself walking through, it opens up to look like a very ramshackle house that is sized for a Goliath. And he opens up the door, walks in, sets the lantern down, and begins making a small fire. And inside of this area, as you come in, as you get close, you see that there is what looks like a funeral pyre that has been set up in the back of this house. Not inside, but on the outside. But rather than using logs, they are made of stone, almost like this is a funeral pyre that is meant for being reused. And upon entering into Graves' house, you can see that that upon the table, there is what looks like almost like a set of hunting knives that have sort of just been laid out. There is a broken piece of glass that has been set up on a small whittled pedestal. And there is a needle that on top of the needle, there is a small cup. Along the walls of this building, there are at least no less than 36 jars that are like jars and vases that are all stone.
It's a nice place you got here, Grave.
And when you say that, you see that he goes over to what looks like a wooded box, opens up the top, pulls out 2 bowls, tosses one onto the table, sets one in front of him, and then you see him again pull out another jar. And he sets like what looks like kind of this gray mash into yours and then some into his as well. And like looking at it, it looks like, imagine if you just took foliage from around you, ground it up into some sort of edible protein, mixed it with water and possibly like a flour, and then hoped for the best.
Yeah.
It is not a pleasant looking meal. Could definitely use some salt. And then as he sits at the table with you, he takes this needle that has this small cup at the top, and it almost looks like a fountain pen.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that he also grabs one of the jars that are along the wall, sets it onto the table, opens the top of this jar, and looking in, you can see what looks like cremated ashes. Like they are not like softly fine ashes, and he takes a pinch of it, sets it into the top part of this bowl atop the needle, holds it, pours some water into it, kind of like mixes it with his finger, sets his hand down, and then looks at you as he begins to steadily poke at his hand as he begins to give himself a new tattoo.
Okay. Gwen just like holds up a finger, touches her brooch. Arjhan, where are you? Something weird's happening.
Roll a D100 for me.
Oh boy.
We're on the same plane, so it
I know.
Oh no.
That's an 8 and a 0.
An 80? Okay.
Well, it's an 80 and a 0.
All right. So you say, Arjhan, where are you? Something weird is happening. All right. That's actually a perfect time. I'm going to switch over to Arjhan. So, Arjhan, you have just had a prolific dreamlike sequence of being pulled backwards into a empty crypt tomb, or an empty crypt coffin that steadily filled with blood. Eventually, you managed to fight your way out, and you found yourself swimming in brackish water with this innate feeling like those around you and those that you aren't sure of are seeking to use you in some manner for their own means. And you see a human off on the side of this lake that just like seems rather startled, and begins asking, Hey, are you okay over there? You there, boy? You scaly boy, big boy.
I'm fine.
What are you doing in the water? You shouldn't be in there. There's scary shit in there. Get out of there. Where do you come from? We're not from around here. You don't look like a bird. You seem bigger.
Yeah, I am gonna get out of the water, like try and get a little bit of lift. Hover about it and hover above it, and at least try and like get closer to the shore. I assume this guy's on the shore.
Yeah.
Does he react?
Yeah, he's sort of taken aback and looks at you. Just, you doing that then? Oh, you got wings just like that lady in the carnival.
Lady in the carnival.
Yeah, there's a lady in the carnival. She got old bat wings, calls herself a vampire. Never seen her drink blood, though, but, she got him. Might as well call herself that. I don't know. It's not really my place to judge. Name's Pike, by the way. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Arjhan.
Arjhan, it's nice to meet you. What are you doing here? I haven't seen you around here. You're not from the city.
No, I'm not.
You're not one of the birds.
The city.
The city. Oh, we've been here for a while. Toramon. They could keep you there safe. If you're being chased by birds, it's the safest place to be.
I'm not being chased by birds. I'm looking for the Raven Queen.
So you're definitely being chased by birds, then? You're looking for the
No.
Raven Queen, and it's all of her people just flying about, zip zaps up.
No. I'm not being chased by birds.
He, looks at you. You're not
Okay,
being
I'll be
chased
going
by
now.
birds. Wait. All right, hold up. Before you go, you ever been to this place before? You seem like you're new in town.
I'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I believe the last guy who said that too, and you know what happened to him? He's super dead now. Watched it happen. Beast came right out of the woods, grabbed him, snap. Like he was like a twig or a snack or something. Just...
I'll take my chances.
Best be on with you then. If you really are going to take your chances, but I am letting you know. It's a bad time out there. Bad time. But if you wanted to come back to Toramon, more than welcome to. It's safe. Got mages built a dome over it. Keep all those lycanthropes from popping on in.
I mean, so does Arjhan hasn't heard of this place before.
He is not.
Okay.
Most places on the Shadowfell you have not heard of. Look for places safe, regroup. But
I don't think Arjhan is. I think he's going to just keep going forward.
Okay. So, Arjhan, you just whatever to this guy. Pike, shoo away. This human's weird. So just begin your ascent upwards. Make a survival check as you begin to kind of get a good grasp of where you're going.
28 minus 2 for my current stress, so 26.
Okay, so with a 26, you manage to fly up into the air, and as you're looking around, it is night out. It is dark. However, the thing that is most abrupt here is that there is no moon in the sky. It is just a large field of this almost iridescent darkness. There seems like there is some sort of there's some sort of light that seems to be coming from it, but you're not exactly sure how to kind of keep the general landscape illuminated of sorts. Looking around off in the far distance to the east, you can see where this forest ends, extends into almost like a field of just this gray colored grass, and you can see what looks like a city. To the west, you can see that there is a massive lake that it seems like the lake that you arrived out of was actually a tributary of this much bigger one. And then there is it's almost like a coming up from this large rock formation that seems to stand impossibly high past what looks like a series of cragged hills, you can see what looks like a castle, almost, that you would guess is most likely of elven make and elven design. It looks old. And you can also see that there are like small black dots that seem to be sort of like hovering around this place. It seems very much like a place where someone who calls themselves the Queen of Ravens might possibly live. And then to the southwest, you can see a clearing, and there are lights, and it is moderately bright. And it almost looks like there are like canvas buildings that are set up that have this sort of like red and white striped attire, almost like they are having some sort of revelry inside of this place that seemingly wants to just drain everything away.
Okay, so I would pin that as the carnival.
Yes, you would get, it looks very carnival-esque.
Okay. I'm going to the castle.
Okay. You begin flying directly towards the castle. So then moving over to Cori. Cori, as you experienced your own set of hardship, the feeling of being torn apart and then procedurally getting put back together only to appear in this otherwise darkened landscape. Actually, I would also like to say, Arjhan, with your high enough survival check, you do see one bright spot of light in the southeast that seems to just be like radiating on its own, which we as the viewers know is Cori, who has appeared here. You cannot see Cori directly, but like there is like some straight up sunshine happening in this place, and it seems rather off given the current scenario. Cori, as you appear in this place and you have this glow about you, this daylight glow, and you are looking around, you hear a fluttering noise as a bird lands, I would say about 15 feet away from you on top of one of these branches, and it looks down at you, and your heart drops for a brief moment. Hearing birds in the Shadowfell, you do not think is a great time, but when you look, it's a magpie. It has this white chest. On its wings there are these deep white spots that seem to transition in almost to like bluish tips as it looks down at you, and it sort of like ruffles its feathers a little bit. Just, you, glowing one that smells of fresh, one who drives the shadows apart. This is no place for you. This place is not safe. No. She knows where you are, glowing one. She'll find you soon, bright one, unless you follow Serial. Yes. Serial can cape you to the keeper of the lost flock. Yes. Yes. And this little magpie is sort of like hopping on its branch.
Are you Serial?
It like preens its little chest out. And it's speaking common.
Of course. Good to meet you, Serial. You can call me Cori. She sort of looks around, just kind of like does a good scan to try and like make sure that like, you know, there's no other craters around where their friends maybe in.
Yeah,
no?
as you are looking around, you do not see any friends.
Well, if she can find me, then perhaps they can as well. Lead the way, Serial.
And Serial sort of like preens a little bit again and then flies down and seems to just sort of like be flying from tree branch to tree branch in front of you, and says, "How smell of fresh? You are new?"
I am new more frequently than I care to admit.
And you travel through these woods for about, I would want to say, 15 minutes or so until you come across a small clearing. And at this clearing, there is a dried up river, and next to this dried up river is what looks to be an old mill. And you can hear the sound of birds coming from inside of this mill. And Sariel flies up onto and perches above the door and says, "Keeper of the lost flock." And she then flies into an open window. And you hear the chattering of this magpie on the inside. And then amongst all of these other bird calls. And as the bird call finishes, the door to this mill opens of its own volition and extends outward. And you can see that the inside of this place is well lit and moderately furnished.
She just sits there and stares at it for a second. And then she sighs and she's like, "Oh, this had better not be a trap." Steps inside.
Okay. And when you step inside and are looking around, you can see that this building is full of birds. They are not in bird cages. They just sort of seem to be resting. But the birds that you see are canaries, doves, pigeons, falcons, some owls. Surprisingly, very little in terms of ravens here. Not very many corvids either, other than, of course, Sariel, the magpie. And you see an elderly woman with her back towards you, shoulders kind of hunched. She's wearing what looks to be a almost like a nice straw hat that has sort of like a flat top about it, and she is just like putting feed into a tray. And as this individual turns to look at you, you can see that this is unmistakably a hag. And the hag looks at you and extends a hand up, and Sariel lands atop it and says, "Plume, Plume, I have found another lost one." And the this hag sort of nods and then scritches the underside of the magpie's head area, and they preen a little bit, and she seems to like chatter back at them, but she seems to speak almost in animal, like speaking as a magpie would towards this creature, and then like alights with a finger, and Sariel goes up to one of the rafters above, and the individual here, this who has been called Plume, extends a hand towards the table and says, "I see that you are not from around here. Before we get off on the wrong foot, I understand that your people, my people, we have a running history. You can call me Abuela."
Well, Abuela, I have no quarrel with you today.
And she nods and says, "Good. I'm not here to do anything nefarious. Just want to take care of my birds. Have a seat, and perhaps you can tell me how you came to this place."
She just sort of looks around at all the birds and steps over to the table, pulls out the chair, settles into it. It's a long story.
And you see that she takes a pot of water, sets it onto a stone pad on the counter, and the stone pad begins to glow this reddish color. And you hear water beginning to boil as she pulls out 2 cups and says, "It'll take some time, I'm sure. But we are safe here. Do you like cinnamon in your cocoa?"
I want to say that Cori visibly brightens, and then she tries to play it cool, and she's all like, yes, very much.
She nods and then like gives you like a shush finger and just says, "It's abuela's secret." And she begins to make hot cocoa for you in all of this, in this of all places. Going back to Arjhan, as you were flying and heading off towards this place, I forgot to mention that this would be around the time that you would receive Gwen's message.
Which was
LB.
Hey, Arjhan, are you there? Are you in the Shadowfell? Some crazy shit's going on.
yes. I'm heading toward the castle. Right.
There's no responding, right?
Well, because Gwen casted, Arjhan can respond, and then Arjhan can cast, and then Gwen can respond.
He'll
So it's sending.
he'll cast and say, "Where are you? What's going on? Where's everyone else?"
I'm alone. I'm in the Goliath burial grounds. I will try to find the castle and meet you there. Hey, Duder. The grave, sorry. There's a castle that I need to go to. Do you know where that is?
And he like stops working on his tattoo and then starts working on it again and says, "I do. Do you have protections for going?"
I mean, I have my... I have my axe.
And he brings his hand up with this fresh tattoo on it and says, "These are protections as well. I can give you one."
Oh.
So your story does not end so soon, little ghost.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
In order for it to work, I need something from you.
Okay.
I need a story.
A story.
And he nods and says, "A story that you are willing to put to the grave. Depending on the story you tell, that will be the effectiveness."
Like a story I'm gonna forget?
He nods.
Gosh, that's a big ask. You said it has to be important,
He
but
nods
something
again.
I'm willing to forget.
He says, "The closer you hold it dear, the more important it is. The stronger your protections will be. That is the strength of the grave."
Okay. So there was a time when I was in Greenreach and I was young and I was with someone who was very important to me at the time that I didn't really realize was that important to me. And we were playing a game where he was pretending to be a knight and I was a princess, and he was gonna rescue me. And while we were playing, he rescued me, and it was this whole to do, and then he kissed me for the first time, and it was, I mean, of course, as a kid, like I reacted and I kind of ran away, but yeah, that was the first time he kissed me. So
And as you are saying this, Gwen, you look at the top of the of this fountain pen that has this stopper, and you can see that there is this almost like bluish kind of ink that seems to be rising from its base, and it gets to be about a quarter full. And he looks at you and says, "Is this the only story you wish to add?"
Yeah, no, I guess when I met my companions that I'm trying to find, there was a time when one of them decided to run away, and he jumped out a window to do it. And I decided that I didn't want him to leave and I didn't want him to run away from us. So I jumped out the window with him, and I grabbed him and stopped him from going anywhere. And it was kind of the first moment that I realized that I didn't want to lose these people that I was traveling with. As, a big thing for me who's been, traveling a lot by myself.
And he looks at you and asks, "Do you wish to forget the memory of jumping out the window? Or do you wish to forget the feeling that you should protect these people?"
Like forever or in that moment?
And he just looks at you with solemn eyes.
Just in that moment. Just that memory.
And you see the glowing ink reach about halfway full.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And he nods and says, "This will take some time. Where would you like your tattoo to show?"
Upper thigh, left thigh.
Okay. So you show him your leggy.
Woo!
Very quick reveal. And he takes some dirt and rubs it onto the spot where he is going to give you a tattoo, which,
God.
if somebody is doing that before you receive a tattoo, leave the parlor. It
Leave,
is not
please.
a sanitary environment. He then takes some of the ash from the jar that he was using to make his own and sets it into the tiny cup atop this pen. And again, sort of like takes a pinky, mixes it together, and then begins to give you a tattoo. Now, Gwen, the tattoo does require attunement in order to be effective. However, should you gain the go through with this, it will take most likely a set of hours in order to do.
Yeah.
You will gain the Shadowfell brand tattoo. You can add that to your inventory.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Which means that you gain dark vision to a range of 60 feet, and you have advantage on dexterity stealth checks. And when you take damage, you can use your reaction to become insubstantial for a moment, halving the damage you take.
Insubstantial. I like that.
You become a tiny ghost.
Okie dokie.
And then
sorry. What's it called one more time?
it is the Shadowfell brand tattoo.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I can only cast my thing once, right? My sending spell.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so he begins the process, and as he is putting this tattoo upon you, that first kiss that you and Philip shared steadily leaves until, I mean, you can remember Philip and you being affectionate, but there is that moment, that setting sun that was off in the distance of the trees while you were playing in Greenreach. The smell of that spring breeze coursing through the air, that moment, that singular moment, will forever be on the tip of your tongue. And it is you are most often feel reminded of the feeling that you have forgotten something important when you look at your tattoo.
Good.
Same with like, you have the like, and looking at the tattoo as well, you get like the sense that you like, almost like when you like experience falling in a dream, like it's kind of like that same kind of feeling all at once. It's a very strange emotion. And as the tattoo is being applied, in your ghostly council, as it were, of Goliath spirits, there is a sense of like murmuring and quiet discomfort as a new silent presence seems to join into the chorus that was not there previously.
Did not sign up for horror films indoors.
You guys remember the baby? It was a great time.
You can't keep bringing the baby up. It's fine. It's fine.
So, Gwen, that is where you are currently stationed. Arjhan is mid-flight. Cori is getting some hot cocoa, talking with a hag. Caelum, you were at a carnival. You are safe. You have your ticket. Looking around, it seems that there are some marquees describing a variety of acts. It looks like there is a fire swallower. There's even like an old kind of tattered looking poster that says, "Come see Armilla the vampire." And it shows a woman in a very nice regal pose, but she has these like large leathered wings extending from behind her. And you can hear the voice of the carnival barker, this tour guide who seems to be going around. Just step right up. You're going to want to see Alti the Werehair. Traveling and doing quick feats of strength. Then we got Armilla the vampire. She's going to be traveling across the ropes, but don't think that the fall will kill her. Her wings will save her in the end. So really, there's not a whole lot of danger there. I hope that you weren't expecting too much on that one. Next up, we have Charlotte, the fire eater. She's been doing this for years. Apparently, she's killed like 16 people with her fiery breath. At least that's what she claims. Whether or not we all believe her is a different story entirely. Then we have the organ grinder. It's an old sad clown who's constantly asking you to check out his monkeys. Anyways, what a great time this carnival is. Thank you all so much for paying your tickets. Also, don't forget there was the woman who used to be a snake. Oh, I fucking hate this job.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Hey, you're new here. And he says, like, kind of like detracting from that, just, can you please tell me why we have a carnival here? I mean, I understand. I get it. I understand. However, It's not like we get the clientele, know what I'm saying? Before, when we used to be a traveling carnival and we used to be going all around the material planes, that's when we would meet a variety of people. But here, it's kind of dreary. Isolde's been on this kick the whole time. Ever since she got that sword. What?
Is that the punchline to this stand-up bit?
What bit?
Oh.
I am in pain.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. A job's a job, and honestly, Isolde's a good boss. However, there are a few things that I would change. Personally, I miss the sun. It's been a while. I'd like to see it again.
Turns away from him, pulls out a glass orb, portraits a picture of the sun in there, and hands it back to him.
His eyes get so wide, and he just like, as his hands are like shaking, extending out to it, and he grabs it from you with like a look of joy, but as he touches it, you can see that there is like a look of sadness as it the warmth of the orb does not belay the brightness of the sun. He was hoping that it would be like a little warm spot, but it was not. And just says, well, thank you anyways for all of your effort on that one. I guess I can tuck this away with other forgotten and random treasures that we acquire in our travels. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Sidesteps away.
And as you sidestep away and walk a little bit further on, you see a rotund-looking human dressed up in rather tattered-looking clowning gear. They have a hat that is off to the side, and they are painted with like a big happy face, but you can see that they are just making like an active frown. They just have like a rather old-looking music box that just and like it's missing a few of the planks that are supposed to go on there. And he looks at you and just like motions for you to come over. And you can see that there are like some animals next to him. Like one of them is just like trying to like get away. It's like a leash kid kind of situation. And he like
as
pulls the monkey.
Heads over, he's gonna ping his brooch of sending on the all send capacity and just go, guys, where are you? I'm at a carnival. It's very weird.
Yeah, Arjhan, you received this message. Cori, you received this message. Gwen, you received this message.
Headed to the castle. Gwen is, I assume, on her way as well.
Oh, thank God. I'm getting a tattoo right now. I'll be there when I can, but this is going to take a while. I hope everyone's alive. I'm heading towards the castle.
Like I said, Gwen is on her way.
What's a tattoo?
Carnival? In the Shadowfell? Strange. I'm having hot chocolate. I'm very shiny. You can find me.
Hello, Mr. Organ Grinder Man.
He shrugs and like holds up a sign that has like a very happy looking clown on it that says, "Can you guess how the animals are doing?" And he just like has this like very blank expression, turns the grinder a little bit until like it eventually kind of like starts playing on its own. And he like looks over at one of the creatures and just like snaps at it, and the creature's like eventually looks like, oh right, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And you see them be like, ha ha, like they do like a very base emotion.
I'm gonna guess numerous and belligerent.
You see this sad clown with the happy painted expression just nod solemnly, and then flips the sign around and says, "You guessed wrong. Would you like to try again?"
For the sake of this joke, yes.
And he like taps the organ grinder, and then begins to spin it a few times as well. It is a different song. there is what looks like a goat that has just sort of been like chilling there, and he eventually like snaps his finger at the goat to pay attention to the song, and the goat like head turns back like, oh right, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And you see them do like a little like front leg out, like jingle a little bit, another front leg out, jingle a little bit, and then like give a little shaky, like they're doing like a small dance. And then they stand up on their back hooves and just like bring both of their little arms up into two little flaps and then sit down. And then they like kind of like shimmy their shoulders. And the sad clown with the same sign. Can you guess what the animal's feeling?
Disinterest and no, disinterest would work.
And the clown like hears this, looks over at the goat, and the goat just like just gives him this like very like easy bleat, and he just sort of like shrugs. And then you see him like reach into a pocket, and he pulls out what looks like a small ball that has like orange and blue like tin like a foiled wrapper around it, and he like holds it out to you.
I'll take it.
And then he like cranks, like taps the organ a couple times and cranks it, and you just hear "Welcome to the Carnival," and like it just begins like this very strange song that seems to like devolve as it keeps going, but he just looks so like
Little bit of everything, all of the time.
as it just keeps going.
Thank you. Quickly hurries away.
And like he just like waves a little bit, and then like you see like the monkey is like trying to escape again, and he just like without even like looking in the direction reaches around, grabs the leash of where it was, and just like pulls it back to fall in line. So Cori, you were in the middle of telling this hag what for, or at least letting her know your travels while she gives you some cocoa. And as you do, that golden light steadily seems to kind of like fade away until you are just your standard autumnal form.
And so then we jumped off of the cliff into the darkness, and then there was a magpie who brought me here. So anyway, how did you get here?
She says, I like taking care of birds. Eventually, I started noticing miners, sailors, people who want their messages to go one way, other creatures who fly into the night and get lost. They all find themselves coming here. So I figured they need someone to look after them. So I came here. Started finding them before the ravens did. There are worse things to find for a canary in a coal mine than just the darkness. Sometimes they make their way here. And she like reaches up and like gives a little like loving scritch to one of the canaries that's up there.
Well, I'm glad there's someone looking out for them.
She shrugs and just says, I do my best. Travel a little here, a little there.
Do you know anything about a carnival around here?
Oh, the big top. Yes, I know of a carnival. It's maybe, I want to say, no more than... You've been nice, so 15 minutes? I can put you close, but they have wards around the edges.
Are you saying you can send me there?
I'm saying if you leave through that door.
Oh, that was deciding whether or not to tell me.
No. This building, this grove, is here, but it is not here. I cannot protect my birds from the goddess with wards and other such things. However, if I have a building that is both here and not here, then it is technically not in her domain, and she has no power.
I've heard of something similar.
So,
I don't remember what Caelum's dad's name was. What was that?
Caelum's dad's name... Let's play the feud! His name was Kaharik.
Kaharik?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You wouldn't happen to know someone named Kaharik, would you?
And make a persuasion check.
Oh boy. I'm looking for a guy named Kaharik.
Have you seen this man?
I got a 13.
A 13.
I've got a plus 11 to a persuasion. That
Oh
was a
my
really
God.
bad roll.
She pauses and sort of scratches her chin and says, "See one of the ravens?"
In a manner of speaking.
What does he look like? I might not have seen him, but Cyril might have, others might have.
I haven't exactly seen him myself. I just know his son.
What does his son look like?
I'll describe Caelum.
And she then, like, thinks, like, so him, but, like, older.
Perhaps?
Well, hopefully he does not have, like, a beard or, like, a wicked facial scar, like an eye patch that would make him look, or if he's, like, wearing a ball cap, you would not be able to recognize him at all if it was that way.
Pair of glasses.
Just impossible to recognize, but...
A single goatee.
And she then begins to whistle. And as she does, it is this very high flitting whistle that sounds very similar to a bird call. And the birds that fill this mill then begin to chatter and begin to interact amongst themselves until eventually Cyril comes down and whistles something in sort of like this, like, it's almost like a lilting caw. If you've ever heard a magpie actually sing, it is very much like almost songbird, but still a corvid. Like, they are just like scream singing, for lack of a better term. And Abuela nods and says, Cyril has seen this one. They were out and about looking for new children for me. Last he was seen, he was heading his way towards the castle, not by his own volition. There was two individuals who seemed to be going with him. But, and she pauses and Cyril continues to go. She listens intently and says, then there is another who he seemed to be speaking closely with. Closely? Is that what you're saying? And Cyril just, yes, close. Like family. And Abuela nods. Like family. Does your Caelum, your friend, does he have any siblings?
Not that I know of. Was this person who's speaking closely with female?
And Cyril says, yes.
No, perhaps not a sibling. I'm afraid I must be going, Abuela. I do appreciate you protecting me whilst I cooled off. She just sort of looks at herself.
Abuela nods and says, you were nice. You are welcome back anytime. Bring your friends. If they are hungry, I feed them.
It's very sweet. How may I thank you?
And at that, she again puts a kind of longer finger onto her chin and says, "It's not every day that I get to enjoy the sunshine in this place. On your travels, will you bring the sun back to this place?"
That is my deepest desire.
She nods again and says, "Would you mind taking Serial with you?"
If Serial wishes.
Serial preens up a little bit again and seems to enjoy this very much. And Cori, as you are agreeing to take Serial with you, you feel a almost warm sensation coming from your right ring finger, as it seems like Ryth is not 100% on board with this.
She's just gonna kind of like move her hair out of her face, and as she does so, she's gonna like sort of speak to her ring, like looking off, like away, just sort of like, "What's got your tails in a twist?"
We can't trust this one. You know what they're like.
Well, who says we have to trust them?
I leave it at your discretion.
We will be careful.
And
What were you saying about changing the way that my insight checks work?
Yeah. Just letting you know. It seems Ryth seems a little sus about this. And Serial joins you. Seems very happy to do so. And as you, Cori, go up to the door, and Serial just sort of like comfortably rests onto your shoulder, very happy to be in the presence of someone who smells so fresh, in Serial's wording. You open the door, and through the trees in front of you, where before you could see nothing, here now you see light, and you can hear almost like a Maudry or a maudlin kind of music that seems to be playing from that direction. And Serial alights from your shoulder and from the and lands on branch to branch to branch as you are led towards the carnival. And as you are making your way towards the big top itself, that is where we are going to go into our break for the evening. So we're going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. Don't go no place unless it's to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. Pick yourself up something nice, and we'll see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. See you soon. We're back.
Steven!
What is it?
Grip it and rip it, baby! Woo!
That is... That was the best grip it and rip it I think I have ever seen. That was, be careful not to get too hammered off of that GNR.
Woo!
Same at following up any threats of shotgunning anything with the most delicate sip.
Hey, Steven.
I didn't want to spill it. It's on my desk.
Rip it and rip it,
No,
right?
please don't. No, not that one. Not for you. That's a Twitch flag. Not unless that is just like Dr. Pepper in there and you're using it as a holding glass. But at that point,
Ew,
why?
Dr. Pepper and hot cocoa?
Oh, God, no.
Unless.
No, God, oh, no.
It's been done.
I have begat my own downfall.
It has been done.
I mean,
Anyway.
Anywho, welcome back to the game. We have returned. I hope everyone's having a great and fantastic time. Guys, remember the baby? That happened last episode. Now it's in spooky towns. So, Cori, you have just entered into said carnival, or at least are on the outskirts therein. Looking around, you do not necessarily see any ticket takers. There's not like a proper ring around this carnival or anything like that. It just seems to be a collection of tents. And make a perception check for me.
Okay. 23.
23? Okay,
For
yeah.
some reason I know I was gonna kill it. Alright.
I would say with your 23, it's pretty easy to spot Caelum on this. Caelum, after speaking, having a one-sided conversation with the very sad clown, what were you up to next? Just sort of like going around the ring of the carnival, like trying to find safe passage, or like just a place to sit? Like, what was the goal?
I think he's been walking around this entire time just checking the carnival out. So he has like the carnival container of popcorn,
Buddy.
a fucking cone of candy floss.
So the candy floss is like, imagine if it was sugar free. Like, it just has like that very like almost like disheartening flavor to it when you're expecting something much more
It's
sugary.
frozen yogurt.
In the good place sense. Yeah, I was like, I was trying to fucking wrap my mind around sugar-free candy floss. It's sugar. It's just sugar.
Imagine if that sugar tasted like Easter grass. Like, you know how you can have like that edible filling inside of like Easter baskets? That it's technically
edible?
It is edible. It is technically made of sugar and starch. Most likely starch. They make it edible because young kids are just like, I'm gonna eat this whole fucking thing. But like,
That's
imagine
amazing.
if it was like sugar like the sugar or fairy floss that kind of thing, but like made mostly of like starch rather than sugar.
Well, this is very sad.
Caelum!
Hi.
Yeah,
Candy
and
floss?
She just like looks at him, having a good time.
I mean, when you get separated from your adult, you stay in one place. That's what Prescott taught me.
Caelum, you are an adult.
Oh. Yeah, that too. But we are separated as a group, and if one person hunkers down, then, less likely to get lost.
You know what, actually, hold on to that. I've got some news for you, and you probably want some comfort. Walk and talk?
Sure.
My understanding is that Arjhan's already on his way to the castle.
We need to, group up before we attempt a siege.
She's gonna hit her sending. Arjhan, you're not on your way to the castle, are you? Because I've just found Caelum. We're at a carnival. We should probably group up before the siege, yes? Yes. Sorry. Came out weird.
I did not have a way to coordinate with everyone. I assumed everyone was headed to the castle. That is our goal.
There's a castle?
Points.
Can I see the castle?
well, you're inside of a building, so
Okay.
probably not. You can see a lot of urns.
Gwen's going to place her hand on top of her sending thing and say to Grave, is there like a landmark outside of the castle that is a good place to meet up?
And he says, I have not gone to such place. If there are landmarks, I am unsure.
Okay.
I stay here. Make
Right.
sure that the dead stay dead.
I mean, a very good and noble cause. Are there directions here? Like, can I say north and that'll make sense to anyone?
And he takes a deep breath and says, "The locals use the lake as a center point.
Cool.
We are
hey-
south of lake."
Cool. Okay. Hey guys, there is a lake that we can meet at that is a central point. Let's meet there. Okay? Cool. I will be there soon.
I thought you used your sending.
I did, but I'm responding. Is that not?
Response should be fine.
Okay.
So yeah, as you get as you're like making the sending and making sure that it is sent off properly, Caelum and Cori, what are your passive perceptions?
18.
16.
18 and a 16. So the both of you notice that for a carnival, it is getting quiet. It is getting very quiet. And the area around you seems to be dispersed. While there were carnival goers here not even a minute ago, it seems like they have vacated to somewhere. And in the darkness, approaching from the center of this big top, you see a feminine figure, eyes glowing red with what looks to be an executioner's blade in one hand, also glowing red. And you hear a voice say, "The intruder has not paid." And the silhouette of Isolde rushes forward, and she just brings her blade up towards you, Cori. She is going to try and make an attack against you. She misses. So I like to imagine that it is as the blade goes to try and strike out towards you, Wraith just automatically forms itself into a blade into your hand almost as a reflex, and you are able to bat it away. And there's that moment where the blades are just stuck against each other. It's very dramatic, very neat looking. And you see this dark-skinned Eladrin, eyes glowing red, just looking at you. And then in her voice, she says, "She sent you, didn't she? You're here to kill me. Well, guess what? I'm not so easily killed."
I'm sorry. I have no idea who you are, and I was just leaving.
And she will attempt to strike you again, but make a persuasion check with disadvantage against this individual.
Okay. This will go great. Yeah. 22.
22? Okay. So she goes to bring the sword, the executioner sword, down in a like it's high strike, just chop. She's looking to go from like nape of the neck through the chest. Like this is going to be a very clean cut. This sword looks wicked in its current form. And then it halts, and you can see that there is a stopping point where it looks like the sword itself wants to continue the strike through, but Isolde is holding it as best she can. And she shakes her head, and you see those red eyes sort of flash. And she says, "Where did you get that blade?"
It looks down at it. You can call me Coriander. I'm the Caelum of the Fallen Leaves.
And she like takes a step back and levels this sword at you. And she says, "Caelum of the Fallen Leaves, is Phalaris Bay, not you.
Phalaris is gone.
Make another persuasion check.
Oh, fuck. 30.
When you say Phalaris is gone, sword leveled at you. The sword steadily begins to drop, and her eyes flash red, and that voice says, "She must pay!" The head shakes and just... It seems a lot has happened in the time that I've been gone. First things first. I need you to pay for a ticket. Your friend Caelum already paid for his ticket to be at the carnival. If you do not, I cannot guarantee your safety. I don't get very many homelanders in these parts. I'd like to see you not be at the edge of my blade. However, I cannot guarantee your safety, Caelum, unless you pay.
Cori checks her pockets. And she's going to like speak through the side of her mouth to Caelum and says, Arjhan carries all my money.
Caelum just hands her a coin purse that has 4 platinum, 653 gold, and 3 copper in it.
Like it's the scene from Lilo and Stitch where she just like holds out her hand, the money goes into her hand, and then she just hands it to her.
And Isolde looks into it and then just sets the coin pouch onto her hilt. Or actually, she like counts it, looks at it, and you just see that she like crumples it almost like it were a piece of paper, and then like makes a kiss on her fist. And then when she opens her hand again, there is a ticket, and she says, "1 ticket for the midnight carnival. For 1 coriander. Do not lose this ticket, or I cannot guarantee your safety."
All right. She grabs it and just tucks it into her gauntlet.
On the occasion that we do leave the carnival, do we have to repay for a ticket?
As long as the carnival stays here where it is, as far as I am concerned, I do not see multiple days passing above my head. Your ticket is good for 1 day. Sun up, sun down. I do not see the passage.
Great.
Just hold on to this. There's no like sticker, hand stamp. No? Okay. It's fine. Caelum, we're leaving?
We should head to the lake, as Gwen suggested.
Right. Cori like moves to leave, and then she sort of stops and looks over at Isolde, and it's just a bit far from home, are we?
And she takes a deep breath and says, "Apparently I'm not the only one. If you find Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, let them know I'd prefer to have my carnival back. But until then, I will make sure that this one stays intact. Caelum, I do apologize, but I have creatures from home who find their way here and are consistently sent to kill me. So when I smelled something, detected something that was such as yourself, who did not have a ticket with them, you could see why I would be a little nervous as to the overall situation. Should you need a place of reprieve, a resting spot away from the fractured one's eyes, you are more than welcome to stay at the carnival, as long as you have a ticket.
I see. Well, Caelum seems to like it here well enough.
I'm glad.
We do have business elsewhere.
They always do.
Thank you for your hospitality. Tucks away.
Which way's the lake?
And Isolde levels her executioner's sword in the direction of the lake.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
We go.
How far is it?
It is about it's about an hour walk.
Turns to Coriander. I could get us there by flying.
Are you not worried about drawing attention to yourself?
He taps his mask.
Yes, well, I don't have one of those. And when I got here, I was lit up like a carnival.
You see
Walking
the
it
sad
is.
clown waving you goodbye.
Oh.
Gives you, flips a sign around that says, "Take me with you."
Don't make eye contact with clowns.
But I already did.
It's essentially a contract. Do not look at them.
Well, he doesn't really talk, so he's more of a mime than a clown. If that makes
It's
sense.
even worse. Go.
He just seems like as you leave, the camera stays just long enough to see him just look a little sad. And then the barker comes by and slaps the sign out and just, "We're never getting out of here. We're always gonna stay in this godforsaken place." And that is where we will draw the curtain on the carnival.
I have a question.
Answer.
It was a thing from a little bit back, and we moved past it. I want to roll an insight check as to whether or not Arjhan's actually going to meet us there, because he sounded awfully driven to go to the castle.
Yeah, make an insight check.
I'm doing it. I got a 16.
Meet where?
Is he going to meet us at the lake, or is he going to the castle?
I thought I was told to go to the carnival.
Oh, shit.
The last thing that was said was lake.
Okay. Well, I thought we could only message one person at a time. I'm confused as to what I heard and what I did not hear.
So I think we have played it fast and loose with our sendings quite a few times. So from what my understanding of it has been, is that you can either use it to message one or access a group line. If it's just I'm going to message this specific person, or if it's I'm just put everybody on blast, where the fuck are you guys?
And the person casting it can send a message, and we can reply to said message.
Yes. So if one person puts everyone on blast, then everyone can give one response back.
So Gwen suggested we all meet up by the lake.
Okay. Arjhan would. Okay. Arjhan has been traveling in the direction of the
Of the tower,
of the castle for as long since the moment that he got out of the water.
Yeah.
If he starts heading back, if he starts heading to the carnival whenever Cori sends a message, and then turns to the lake whenever Gwen sends a message, where is he going? How far is he?
He will be on his way back from the castle, not even to the carnival by the time that he gets the clearing on it. It will take you roughly about, basically, if you've been flying for, at this point, you move at 45 feet per round, per action.
30 feet.
30
30
feet?
feet flying.
30 feet flying. So yeah, going that direction. Yeah, I would say that you've been flying for probably close to an hour through these skies. So when you are then like, okay, I gotta like turn around, make my way back. You're probably like I would say like 15 minutes on the return trip when they're just like, oh yeah, like axe the carnival. We're meeting at the lakeside. So then you're able to readjust accordingly. Gwen will be the last person to meet the group there as she was getting her tattoo finished. But the rest of you are able to at least reconvene there. Arjhan, while you are up flying, make a perception check for me.
My passive is 19, but 16.
Okay. So I'd say that with your 16 as well as your passive being 19, because you were like focused on the castle before, but at points during the flight just sort of like look down like, okay, it's like, what is happening below me? It behooves you to make sure that there is nobody like lying in wait. You do notice that there are multitudes of ravens that seem to be thick within the trees that are leading towards the castle, many of which seemed to have their heads up, looking at you, watching you as you flew, but they did not fly after you. They just seemed to be watching. As you approached the foothills, getting closer to this place, you could see that there were what looked like old weapons and old armor that seemed to be scattered around the foothills themselves, coming from the direction of east heading west towards this castle. And the armor itself looked like the armor and weapons looked like it was of non-elven make, I would say. This definitely looked like it was human make, if anything. It just doesn't have the skill or the the care that's typically put into these kind of into elven weapons. It seems like this is much more of a like, we need swords, we need axes, we need that kind of thing. But you see that is all just sort of littered. Like it comes up to a point and then just seems to almost stop. And you can see that there are like spears that have been put into the ground with helmets resting on them. Ravens just sitting atop these helmets that all seem like they are... Make a history check.
Natural 20.
Okay. So the armor that you are seeing is not new. It is old. It is very old. At this point,
How old is it?
you would probably guess that this armor, based off of the designs and the profiles that they have, you're guessing that this armor is possibly 1,000 years old. That just seems to be almost in a perfect state of stasis. Same with the all of the gear. It seems ancient, but you are seeing that it is almost part of like one of the earlier warring kingdoms. It seems almost like this gear is more fitting that kind of profile. As far as the specific kingdom itself, you know that it is... trying to think which one would have been around 1,000 years ago.
Would Arjhan remember the name or also be able to place that from flying to meet everybody else?
I would say that you would have time to think about it while on your flight. With a natural 20, this is the information that you have gathered, even just like spying on it from above. Mostly because like these aren't like the style of blade itself is not like it's more like they're more like curved blades rather than straight swords, that kind of thing. Like it definitely has a very particular mark about it, like that was not used by other kingdoms. And I would say that this would be we'll call it the Hogryn kingdom. Hogryn, Hogryn. And that just seemed, this is their stuff, whether or not it is being used actively or has been used. It is old, and it looks nice, but it definitely looks like any kind of like persons to go with this have all gone away. And that is what you see kind of looking over the base of these foothills on your way back. Cori and Caelum, as you are on your way back, Saril, the magpie, just seems to kind of be like flitting along, and just kind of says, "One smells fresh, one smells old. One smells fresh, one smells old," and just sort of like popping back and forth.
New friend?
Yes, somewhat. Like I said, I was lit up when I came in here, and he helped me lay low until it wore off.
Preens a little bit at being informed as you inform Caelum of their usefulness.
I met a friend who has been taking care of a few birds down here.
Like someone you knew?
No, a new friend. Just met her. Caelum, she told me about your father.
Where?
He was taken to the castle. He was speaking with someone he seemed familiar with.
Y'all are really lucky I rolled high for that good boy roll. Right. Meet up with everyone first, then we'll discuss what we're doing.
Okay. As the two of you get by the lakeside, Saril begins to flit and flutter, trying to stay near the trees without going out directly into the lake. And as they do, they seem to flutter off. And that is around the time, Arjhan, that you are descending near the lake, or at least Cori, you and Caelum can see your dragonborn friend flying through the sky, making his way towards you.
Yep. Wave him down.
Yeah, he descends.
Sorry for all that confusion.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
All right. Guess all we gotta do now is wait for Gwen.
Magic is doing some real heckin' snoozles, and I wish that I could move my mic arm and not wake her up. But like, it is just one of those like, just like deep like. She's very cute right now.
Very good.
I love her. She is perfect. Pure bean. As the three of you are kind of maintaining this conversation of like making sure that you're all okay. Yes.
Can we take a short rest here?
I'd say that you could take a short rest.
Okay.
You could try it, anyways.
Well, I'm gonna use my arcane recovery feature.
Okay. Gwen, roll me a D100.
I haven't had to roll a D100 probably twice in this whole campaign. 25.
25. As you are taking this short rest, Cori, and actually all of you, because all of your passive perceptions are just fucking bonkers. You hear what sounds like a magpie in danger. Like they are experiencing duress. Followed by a quick chirping help, as you recognize that to be Sariel. Followed by another voice saying, "Well, you're gonna fetch me a precious penny when I get back."
We concerned about the bird.
Cori face steps to the guy.
As you face step in that direction, you see that there is a older looking human. Skin is very pallid, almost gray, in the same way that Caelum's is. That has a cage that, like, cage is open, hand has gripped Sariel and is, like, trying to force it into said cage. A hat that has, like, the hunter's hat that has the flappies kind of going up, that looks in ill repair. And when you step, they just, like, shock drop the cage, open the hand, just, I didn't know if this was going to be one of yours or if this was going to be one of mine, or if, I'm sorry, is your claim? You want to eat it first? I understand that food's a little hard to come by around here. I meant no offense. I thought that it wasn't one of, wait, you're not one of them.
The bird is mine.
I apologize for trying to rescue your bird from imminent danger.
Was the danger me?
Possibly. Now, what's your name? You can call me Pike.
Hello, Pike. You can call me Cori.
It's nice to meet you, Cori. You are... Has something happened? Like, is there, like, another one of those things that's going to cause people to start raining from the sky like it did, like, all those times ago when this place, like, first got soil? Or is this going to be... Is there the second out-of-towner I seen today? There's another...
Third.
There's another fellow. Oh!
I'm
Okay,
afraid there's
that's
only-
new.
I'm
Oh,
afraid
hi,
there's
Tall and Scaly. Nice to see you again.
Only a few of us. Yes, leave my bird alone.
I didn't know it was your bird. I thought it was free eats.
No, no, it is not. Did this happen before?
Before what? Just folks coming in, falling from the sky?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not really. Not intentionally. Back in the olden times, not me, not my dad, not grandpa, great-grandpa, great. It was about a while ago. People decided, there's a new goddess. She probably won't mind if we just, like, show up, start trying to suss out the land, as it were. Apparently, she did not take too kindly to that one.
Have all your ancestors lived here?
Most of them. I mean, before that, we were living back on, well, a place that wasn't here. But before, after that, though, yeah, it's just been, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Tell me.
Well, if you came here after the goddess did, that was ill-advised.
Like I said, Great Times 8 Grandpa thought that it was going to be a little bit of a better situation. Most people did. They thought, oh, well, the goddess of whatever's going on in here, big old fracture bird lady, decided, well, we could try and suss it out. Settlers and what have you. A little bit more aggressive than settlers. More like, what was the one where you make colonies?
Colonialists.
Yeah, it's sort of like that one. But then we became victims. Wouldn't you know it?
I see. Well, we all deal with the sins of our forefathers.
That we
she's
do.
gonna grip him on the shoulder.
That's
Tell no one you saw us here.
I will gladly not tell anyone that I saw you here, especially if you leave my arm in one piece.
She'll pat him.
Look, I offered it to your friend, tall Scaly. Freeze to say his name. You're nice about that one, but if you need a respite, if you're looking for a place that is not surrounded by ears and eyes...
Believe it or not, we have options regarding that.
What's the other option?
Well, if there's no
There are other
ears and
people?
eyes, then why would I tell you?
Well, okay, that is fair. You seem like you have dealt with this kind of thing before. But if you need any respite, old Pike's got your back. In the meantime...
I want to insight check this guy.
Yeah. Roll an insight.
Oh, he feels like a fast talker. I got a 9.
A 9. It seems more that he is not used to seeing people who are not from round here, and he has a friendly disposition that makes it very difficult for him to stop talking.
Let's see. Well, let's say I come from the flip side of the same coin.
Oh, you're like that carnival lady.
But yes.
Okay, I got you. Well, if that's the case, if you ever do need to go to the carnival, remember, pay up front. Like, sure, when you get to the boundaries, call out, I'm looking to buy myself a ticket. Otherwise, that lady and her mean sword, they'll get you. That's what happened to my second cousin Daniels. Tried to go in, enjoy some of that there fairy floss. Delicious, by the way, if you have not had it yet. Oh, you got some. Good for you.
You want?
Yes, please. And like he just like, yes, this is the candy for me. Like, even though it tastes god awful, this is what he wants.
Wasn't it Gwen's idea to meet here? Where is she?
From her sending, she's getting a tattoo from gods know who.
Did she say where? She's, like, looking around.
Sending ping.
Wait,
Actually,
do you
no.
still have a sending?
Yeah, I know sending.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind.
He's
Never
the
mind.
wizard.
I forgot.
The brooches were just to make it so that y'all could also talk to me. Gwen, we're by the lake. Where are you? Should we hold?
Gwen, you have like 2 hours left.
I'm so sorry. I cannot sleep. I cannot dream tonight. I'm about 2 hours away from this being done. And
I'm in pain.
Don't waste your time on me. You're already the voice
I'll be there in a couple hours. Again, tattoo. Will protect. But
she's gonna be a while.
Great. She says shortly, standing next to Pike.
Look, you can keep your bird. I'll tell no one that I saw you here. Everything honky-dory. Doing swell. Fine.
Pike, do you come from a village?
Come from a city. It's one of the last, well, I would call it a free city, but we're actually very protective about what we can do inside there. Because if we mess up things magically, then the barrier that keeps all those bird folk away disappears, and then we can't actually stop them, and then they would probably wipe us out because they see us as pest.
All right. How far away is it from here?
Oh, about here, about 4-hour walk. Not too far.
to Arjhan and Cori. It could be a good staging point.
Staging point for what now?
Arjhan just shakes his head.
No? Okay.
Staging point? Are you like theater people?
Yes, I have a host of marionettes.
Oh, that's what the mummer's mask is for. I was wondering about that then. Most people around your disposition tend to be like raveny and scary and want to kill me or I think eat me. I don't really know exactly what it is they do up there, but they, bad times. But Owl Mask seems very special, very different, mind you. Did you know ravens typically will attack owls? That's why we don't really have many around here.
Mm-hmm.
Just gang up on them.
Owls will, as someone said, clap a singular raven, but if ravens get in flocks, they are not afraid to murk said owl.
What's a clap? Like when your hands? Oh, I've
No,
done
more
that in a
like...
while. Oh. How do they form a fist with those feathery wings?
They have claws.
That's a good point. But if ever you're looking for a stage, Doraemon, about 4 hours that way, only city, you can't really miss it. Well, only city that's not populated by the birds.
Doraemon.
Tor, space, Amon.
Oh, sorry.
That's home. And then, arrive, say, hey, I've met Pike. He seemed like a really cool guy, and you should really stress the part about me being, like, on the up and up. People see me as a little barmy.
I can't see why.
I know, I'm a stand-up individual, but you know what they say, if you go outside the city wall looking for food, you're either brave or foolhardy, so I always assumed it was the former. Now, in the meantime, though, enjoy your stay. Welcome to the Plane of Shadow. Hopefully, you don't plan on staying very long. And, are there any other birds I shouldn't try and catch? Because I am feeling a mite bit peckish.
None on me so far.
I would say most of them. Abuela wouldn't like it.
Ooh.
Does not
Ew.
answer, just walks away.
Alright, and I think I would say try my luck with fish, but there's never any luck with fish in these parts. Well, it was good seeing you again, stranger. He points towards you, Arjhan. And it was good meeting you, Mr. Owlface. Mr. Mask. Very charming lot. And he just sort of like begins to like back away, and he's like rubbing his shoulder where Cori had given him the strong grip.
If you need a name to call me by, you can call me Houdini because I'm a magic man.
I love this group. I love this game. It's a good joke. It's a great joke, even. I'm gonna need you to stop. So yeah, Pike leaves, apparently. And I'd say with all of your high enough perceptions, it's pretty easy to hear him like trundling away. He has like a larger bag on his back. And you are able to at least begin the process of a short rest.
Ooh, should we rest up in the cabin?
Probably ought to stay out of sight.
It's just a door.
If Pike can find us, then I'm worried about whether or not she can.
She already has.
We have stepped into a deity's domain.
So you think she knows we're here?
Absolutely.
Then why hasn't she paid us a visit?
Might not want to.
Like she doesn't think we are a problem? Or she does think we're a problem? and would rather not deal with us.
I don't think she's gonna come after us unless we have something she wants. Arjhan, do you still have that tea set?
I thought I gave it to Cori.
Ta-da! Turns around, basket.
We've been here a couple of hours. We might as well have a drink.
Produces tea set. Sets up a nice little picnic.
Yeah. You guys can have your little picnic spread here at the side of this lake in the middle of the gloom. Are you doing Caelum's fantastic cabin? Or just like setting it up?
It's a curious cabin, but I think we're just setting up for tea
Okay.
in the middle.
Sounds good. So yeah, you can take your short rest. Around this time, at the end of the short rest, Gwen, your tattoo is completed. And at that, Grave just sort of like takes the pen, the tattooing pen, sets it down, and then takes some ash, and then just like slaps it onto the fresh tattoo and just rubs it in. It stings like a mother, but it is honestly like you didn't really expect it based on the sheer volume that he has on him, and some of them don't seem as well made as other tattoos, but the one that has been bestowed upon your leg seems like it was done with a purpose and a reverence. And I would like, if possible, what does the tattoo look like?
I got to pick.
Yeah.
Okay, it is very like so it is very liney, as like more like a tribal tattoo. It is a almost like a leaf kind of going. There's a spine going down the center of her thigh, with large bars kind of going. I'm doing it on my leg, like you guys can see it, but there's a spine, and then there's large bars that come down and kind of go at an angle, down towards the center, and towards the peak of it. But there is a part sort of in the middle near the point of this leaf, where it is shattered, like a window shattering. Yeah.
Okay. I'm here for it. And yeah, looking at the pattern, you don't know why it like has manifested itself in this way, but you do get that feeling of like something is missing, something is not. You know why it's there and you know why it's important, but if you were to try and verbalize it, it just is always like, just always past that. And
yeah.
Grave then stands and says, the job is done.
Thank you, Grave. When I get back up to the surface, I'll remind the Goliaths what you're doing, and hopefully you can be remembered.
And Grave pauses and says, if you wish to truly pay me back, do not tell them of what I do. Tell them of what we experience here after the fall. Make them stop this practice. I wish to bury no more. I simply wish to be forgotten.
If I'll send a message. I don't know if I'm gonna make it out of here, but I'll let them know.
And when you say that, he nods and says, if you do not make it out, take solace in the fact that there is a space your size ready for you, tiny ghost.
I appreciate that, Grave. I really do.
Hmm.
You might want to. I don't know if my friends would want to be buried here, but there's 3 more. 2 of normal, like elven size, and 1 that is pretty much Goliath size.
I will have 4 ready.
Thank you. If I mean, I don't expect us to make it out of here, but if our bodies can be brought back, it'd be good to know that we're together in the afterlife.
I will put you in the same urn.
She does a Goliath salute to him.
And he just looks at you, but he gives you the look like he does not know what this salute means.
Okay. I need to meet up with my friends by the lake. Can you point me in that direction?
And he says, I will take their measurements. I can lead you this way.
Thank you.
And he stands, puts on his backpack that has this lantern hanging off of it, grabs his shovel, and opens up the door. And together, you and Standing Grave make your way towards the lake. And like, your leg hurts like a son of a bitch. It's not gonna heal well. It's not.
He fucking rubbed dirt on it. Of course it's not going to heal
dirt
well.
to start, then did it, and then put
Yeah.
ash into it. But like, because it is a magic tattoo, the image itself looks great. It has like this. It has this like a grayish blue coloration to it that you were not expecting it to. And when you look down at it and you have that feeling of something being on the tip of your tongue, there is like almost like a light shimmer that seems to go over it. And Gwen, when you put on your goggles of night to traverse into the Shadowfell, it seems almost too bright at this point. And popping your goggles up, you realize that you can see almost fine.
Oh shit. Did it get lighter out? Or is the tattoo doing something to me?
And Grave says, ancestors protect.
Well, hopefully they can protect me for a little bit in here. Let's go find my friends.
Yeah, and he and you two begin making your way towards the lake. At the short rest campsite, y'all drinking some tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Arjhan, for the tea,
I have rolled a 19.
excellent. You feel like deep breath in, calming aroma of tea, exhale. And like as you exhale, Cori and Caelum, you can see that there is almost like this like weird darkness that seems to leave out of his mouth, like as part of the steam from the tea set. That did not leave the two of yours upon this.
Huh.
What?
There was a bit of energy that came out of you after drinking some of the tea.
Does that mean it's working?
Guess so.
And as this rest is finishing, you all hear what sounds like kind of like metal clanking against each other, as well as the sound of a metal blade going into the earth almost repeatedly, not in a digging motion, but almost as if like it were cutting it. And in the direction of this sound, you just see a singular lantern seeming to swing about, based on the height, it would be about 8 feet up in the air. And coming through this gentle fog that seems to exist around this lake, you see this tall Goliath that, whereas instead of gray skin is almost entirely black from tattoo, that same kind of like bluish ashy gray. And then next to him is Gwen, and Gwen just like no night vision goggles on, nothing of the sort, but like in the darkness you can see that like the like yellow bit on the pupil, like for creatures that can typically see at night, that she did not exhibit before.
This is mildly terrifying.
Yeah.
Guys!
Hi.
Hi.
Hey!
So, Gwen, who's your Spectre of a Goliath friend?
Oh, don't worry about him. He's just, he's a friend.
All
You
right,
see him
I'm-
like reaching into a pocket, pulling out some string, and just like one eye closed.
Thank you.
Doing like a measurements on the three of you.
What? Never mind. Never mind.
He's gonna dig our graves for when we
The
die in here.
fuck?
What? I can't die.
We're not gonna make it out of here.
Want some
Times
tea?
never stopped us before.
No, actually, we had some at the
Gwen,
house.
drink tea.
No, yeah, Gwen, we insist you drink some tea.
Okay. I will drink some tea.
Okay. Gwen, I sent you and Cyber both a specific save that you need to make. Can you try and
Yep.
make that for me?
Am I making with this at disadvantage?
That is correct.
Okay, cool.
But
But
you're next to me.
Yeah.
So +4, 5?
God, who knows? Who knows at this point?
I need to know.
It's 5.
Okay. All right. This is that 0. That's actually a 20.
Okay. Yeah, Gwen, as you drink this nicely steeped tea,
Mhm.
you take a deep breath in, you exhale out as you close your eyes, and as you do so, Arjhan, you also now see like this like weird like black energy that seems to like mix in with the tea steam as she exhales.
To be clear, I do still have my flaw, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You still have the narrative flaw, just not the
Yes.
mechanical aspect of it.
Got it. Ah, I mean, that's refreshing. Not the best tea I've ever had, but you good, buddy? You get everything you need?
And like as you call back to say this, like there's just the sound of like the tin, like
Yeah.
a cup and everything like that, sort of like clanking against themselves. You hear the sloughing of the shovel kind of going through, the light just disappearing.
See you soon, bud.
They all do.
Huh.
Huh.
Does anyone else feel like welcome to the Shadowfell has been uncharacteristically kind?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I landed in a carnival. Got
I
this
mean, you gotta
candy.
start off strong to end weak, right?
Caelim's gonna eat the candy.
Caelum, it is candy, yes, but it is like the weird pineapple candy that you find in like a grandma's drawer that she has forgotten about for like 20 years.
If Caelim's face could pucker, it would. He raises a finger, turns around, lifts his mask up, spits the candy in the air, and then kicks it into the lake.
Okay.
Nope. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
There's just that lingering, gnarly pineapple flavor.
It's like 50 pineapples just fermented in my mouth.
Gross.
That tracks for everything else that has happened to you. Shall we proceed to our demise?
Let us do.
Okay.
Don't let me bring the room down, I guess.
So
Or
thankfully,
ki-
Arjhan knows the way,
Oh boy.
at least in
Cor-
some capacity.
Kind of rolls her eyes, sort of like, God, everybody's such a downer right now.
Thankfully, your faithful friend, who is now not leaving your side, being Cyril, because they realized that leaving your side meant getting grabbed by a strange man and thrown into a cage, being threatened to get eated.
I'm gonna get 8.
Yeah.
Cori introduces Gwen to Cyril.
What's up? You food or friend?
And like when you say food, like they sort of just like hop back and like against Cori, just like friend.
Oh,
Cyril is
now.
friend.
good.
And like
I like it-
Cori, if
I
you
like
say
birds
for
that can
now,
talk.
like Cyril like flies up onto a tree and just like friend always.
If you wish.
I mean, if you can't trust a bird in the Shadowfell, what can you trust, right?
Trustworthy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Do you want
Just
to
for
hang
fresh.
out? I got some snackies.
Crackers.
I mean, it's like bits of bread.
Like hops.
Arjhan will proceed a little bit further in front.
Okay.
Gwen will get out some like bits of old stale bread and sort of like
Cyril will like do like swoops in the attempt not to get caught, but will like swoop grab. Swoop grab.
I mean, it's whatever, dude. And she like just puts him on her shoulder, just leaves him there.
Mhm. If you leave it there for long enough, make me an animal handling check.
Okay. Okay. That's 15. These dice, Tyler. Nice.
So with a 15, Cyril will eventually alight onto your shoulder, Gwen. And it sort of like nuzzles its head against you. And says, "You smell fresh."
Thanks. I mean, gotta smell good before you wait. Am I gonna die from this? And she points down at her leg. I wonder if this is gonna get infected before I can get killed in battle. That would suck.
Well, at least Cyril can survive us all.
Exactly. You know what? You can live to tell our tale to people in Shadowfell because no one else in the material plane is gonna know where the fuck we were.
And Cyril just sort of like doesn't know how to react to that and just and like sort of like nods and like, yeah, you're gonna give me more bread? Yes.
Oh yeah, sorry, here.
Honestly, maybe that's for the best.
Right? I mean, what the fuck are we doing on the material plane anyways? Nothing important.
I would think trying to stop Caius is pretty important.
I mean, there's other heroes, right?
Who are probably not aware of the current situation.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Caelum
Oh,
takes
really
a
isn't
step.
good for you.
What?
Just the Shadowfell really isn't good for you, Gwen.
Obviously, I mean, it's a place I'm gonna like probably find my early grave. Anyways,
What was Caelum say?
Just takes a step away from Gwen and speeds up his pace a little bit more.
Okay.
He does
Arjhan
not know
speeds up
how
faster.
So
to come back here, Arjhan.
Cori will walk alongside Gwen and like entertain her thoughts, but for the most part, she's not buying it.
Yeah, and
she's died plenty of times before. This like never slowed her down.
Yeah, Cori, this definitely seems like you would get the idea and understanding. One would feel that Gwen is not normally like this.
Of course
This
not.
must be something to do with this place.
Yeah.
And the fact that she met that weird Goliath that didn't really say much.
I think a younger, more naive Cori would be doing like some magic bullshit to try and like, return her to normal. But instead, I think she's just kind of like almost like a doctor, just sort of appraising symptoms. She's just sort of thinking like, like, is there something I can do about this?
And it is at this point, as you are all making your way forward, Cori, you are speaking with Gwen. Gwen, you are just like, yep, we're gonna die here. This is clearly the option. And Caelum, you are trying your best to quicken your leggies to get up to Arjhan, but Arjhan just, man, he a quick boy as well. That the two of you in front, Caelum and Arjhan, as you are walking through these woods, you start noticing that a light in the treetops. There are forms. There are birds. And these birds seem to be staring back down at you. There are roughly 8 of them. And as you progress forward and they seem to be looking at you, one of them flies down. And then as they are in the process of coming towards you, as they level, you watch as this raven transforms before your eyes into a Shadarkai. They are wearing a ivory mask in the shape of a raven, and you see that in one hand they have a wicked looking chain that they just seem to be spinning. And that is where we are going to call it for tonight's session. So when we return next week, we're going to have some fun. We're going to meet some brand new friends, and we're going to keep trying to remember the baby that you guys have waiting for you back on the material plane. But that's our show. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I love having these people on the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Speaking of people I appreciate and love very dearly, RJ, where can we find you? What do you do?
Hey everybody, it's me, RJ. You can catch me at RJustice282 on Twitter and Twitch, where I tweet about the nerdy things of my life and sometimes stream with my friends. Of course, you can catch me here on Mondays as Caelum the Shadarkai Wizard, on Thursdays over at GGK for Elegant Magics, then followed up on Saturday over again at GGK. This week, it's Mistborn. Finally, on Sundays, you can catch me over at the Hype Goblins in the morning, where we're doing another D&D 5e homebrew campaign. Last week, I got to play as a bunny folk. It was great. I had plus 15 in initiative at level 7.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it was great.
Bunnies are silly.
Yeah, they get to add their proficiency to their initiative checks.
Why?
In addition to Bard, which is half, and then Alert, which is 5, and then Gloomstalker, which is like whatever my wisdom was.
You
I can't
are
remember.
a mad lad.
I went first all the time. denizens.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm LBHackEmUp. You can find me at LBHackEmUp on the Twitters and the Twitches. Gwen has alert and rarely goes first. I just want to point that out. You can find me here on Monday nights, Tuesday afternoons. Normally, I am streaming on my own channel, but unfortunately, I will be traveling this week because I need to go home at some point. But you can find me live on my channel, LBHackEmUp, on Friday. We are doing a horror stream. We're going to be playing At Dead of Night again. And then on Sundays, we are going to be back in our Masks game. And then I can announce it, I guess, because I haven't figured out dates. But you know what? It's whatever. We're going to be revising our Monster of the Week game on Saturday nights with Better Than Heroes stars, Lauren and Ted from Nerd Immersion. We're going to be doing a little couple, like maybe a 2-shot in November, so that'll be fun. And we just have to nail down the dates, and then I'll get to you guys and tell you what's going on. But until then, I'm LBHackEmUp, and this is DanaeKeener.com's house.
Like
Hi, I'm Cyber. You can find me at Cyber1201 on Twitch and Twitter. Do lore streams. We just finished Metroid Dread after 2 streams, so now I gotta figure out something else to stream this week. Also, yeah, for RPG stuff, I'm here on Mondays, which you found. Good for you. I am also on High Shelf Collective on Thursdays, running Urban Shadows. We've got a couple more episodes left. I think depends on what the players want to do, because they keep surprising me, as do I. You can also check out youtube.com/cyberwolf1. I've been posting campaign diaries of my Frozen Sick adventure from Critical Role, and that's about to transition into a full Rime with the Frostmaiden campaign, except in Critical Role land, so that's fun. And I've been working on something that was probably going to go to the Patreon pretty soon. I've been prepping mod lists for campaigns. So I have posted a full mod list for Curse of Strahd, all the cool things that I would recommend from all the Wizards of the Coast books if you were going to run Curse of Strahd. In a fun referenceable Word doc. It's in my Discord right now. I'll put it on the Patreon eventually. That was fun. I'm probably going to do it for more stuff. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's all the cool new stuff. Let's talk about it. Had an episode. I forgot to plug it last week. But yeah, DanaeKeener.com.
Speaking of DanaeKeener.com, hi everybody. I'm DanaeKeener.com. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. I do nerdy drawings, mostly related to D&D, and DanaeKeener.com. You can also find me at DanaeKeener on Twitter. I've got a pin tweet there that has my schedule on, and you can see all the things that I'm up to. So go and check that out. Danae Keener.
And if you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey Acorns, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/IndoorAdventures. We use shows like this on Monday and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as on Sundays at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If this is your first time joining us, you can go to youtube.com/IndoorAdventures to check up on all of the VODs of each of the games that we have played up until this point, including audio casts, wherever audio casts are made available for free. We do all the same stuff. But for now, we are going to be going into our Patreon-supported after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from each other, but also from the community. So if you would like to ask myself or any of these other fine folk any questions, feel free to join us on our Discord. The link can be found in the Twitch chat to the side over yonder, or you can find it in the description of this video or audio cast down below. We'd love to see you there. I like to feel like we're a friendly group, so come on and join us. But for now, we are going to be heading out, so I'd like to say once again, thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by. Thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again this week, and we'll see all of you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye! We were gonna go away. We just got raided with 44 fucking people. How reroll. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you for following the Terrapixel, Sassika, Jay Neva, Gup Gaming, TV, Mikey the Exiled Nomad, How Reroll. I'm sorry that we also don't have chat enabled, so you have to be following for, I think it's like 2-3 days before you can actually chat, because bots are a serious issue. But we just wanted to say thank you all so much for joining us. You caught us at the very end of the stream.
Join the Discord.
Join the Discord. Hey, then you can actually check to see when we go live. It's a good time. Links off to the side. Thank you. Bye!